Panama City, Panama, the Panama Canal, a vital artery for global commerce and a symbol of international cooperation, now finds itself at the center of a growing crisis. For over a century, this engineering marvel has connected the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, enabling the swift movement of goods and shaping the world's economy. But today, the canal faces a challenge unlike any it has seen before. Unrelenting drought conditions have gripped the region, dramatically reducing rainfall and leaving the canal's water sources dangerously low. The once bustling waterway is now forced to operate under severe restrictions, with ships idling for days and global supply chains feeling the strain. The ripple effects are being felt far beyond Panama's borders, sending shockwaves through the interconnected web of international trade. With billions of dollars and countless jobs at stake, the United States has stepped forward, announcing its readiness to provide assistance. This move has sparked debate and speculation about America's evolving role in the canal's future. The U.S. has a long and complex history with the Panama Canal, having overseen its construction and operation for much of the 20th century. Now, as the canal faces one of its greatest threats, Washington's involvement is once again under the spotlight. The situation is, by all accounts, extremely dire. Canal workers and officials are on high alert, monitoring water levels and scrambling to adapt to rapidly changing conditions. The uncertainty has left many wondering how long the canal can continue to function under such stress. Months of below-average rainfall have taken a heavy toll on the artificial lakes that supply water to the canal's locks. Gatun Lake, the largest of these reservoirs, is at its lowest point in decades. The parched landscape is a stark reminder of the canal's vulnerability to climate extremes. The canal's locks, celebrated as feats of human ingenuity, are designed to lift and lower massive ships across the continental divide. But this process requires millions of gallons of fresh water for every transit. Without adequate water, the locks simply cannot function at full capacity, threatening the canal's ability to serve as a reliable passage for global shipping. As water levels continue to drop, the Panama Canal Authority has imposed strict draft limits, reducing the size and cargo capacity of vessels allowed to pass. These measures, while necessary, have led to a backlog of ships and forced many carriers to seek alternative longer routes. The economic fallout is already being felt across the globe. Stock markets have reacted to the uncertainty, and headlines warn of potential shortages and rising costs. The canal's troubles are a stark reminder of how interconnected the world's economies have become. Delays and increased shipping costs are rippling through supply chains, threatening to exacerbate inflation and disrupt the flow of goods. From electronics to food, countless products depend on the canal for timely delivery. Businesses and consumers alike are bracing for the impact, as shipping companies pass on higher costs and delivery times grow longer. The United States, as one of the canal's largest users and a key trading partner for Panama, is watching developments closely. American officials are in constant communication with their Panamanian counterparts, exploring ways to mitigate the crisis and ensure the continued flow of goods. U.S. leaders have voiced deep concern over the potential impact on American businesses and consumers. From small retailers to major manufacturers, the uncertainty surrounding the canal is prompting calls for swift action and creative solutions. While the specifics of the proposed U.S. assistance remain to be seen, one thing is clear: the crisis has underscored the strategic importance of the Panama Canal and the enduring partnership between the United States and Panama. As both nations work together to navigate these troubled waters, the world watches, hoping for a solution that will restore the canal to its vital role in global trade. The idea of a canal across the Isthmus of Panama, a narrow strip of land connecting North and South America, is centuries old, stretching back to the earliest days of exploration and global trade. Spanish explorers, recognizing the immense strategic significance of this land bridge, dreamed of a waterway that would link the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, forever changing the course of maritime history. Such a passage would, shave thousands of miles off maritime journeys, facilitating trade, boosting economies, and projecting power across continents. Early attempts to survey and construct a canal were met with formidable challenges that tested the limits of human ingenuity. The dense jungles, rugged terrain, and relentless tropical diseases proved daunting obstacles for even the bravest pioneers. Undeterred, visionaries continued to dream of a day when ships would no longer have to navigate the treacherous waters around the tip of South America, risking lives and cargo. In the 19th century, as technology advanced and global trade flourished, the dream of a Panama Canal gained real momentum and international attention. Ferdinand de Lesseps, the celebrated builder of the Suez Canal, turned his attention to Panama, confident that his engineering prowess could conquer the challenges that had stymied earlier efforts and make history once again. However, the challenges in Panama proved far greater than those encountered in Egypt, both in scale and in complexity. De Lesseps and his team underestimated the formidable obstacles posed by the terrain, climate, and most fatally the relentless spread of disease. The French effort to construct the Panama Canal, launched in 1881, was a saga of ambition, hubris, and ultimately, tragedy. What began as a bold vision to connect the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans quickly became one of the most infamous engineering failures in history. The world watched as France, a nation celebrated for its technological prowess, set out to conquer the narrow isthmus of Panama, a feat that promised to revolutionize global trade and naval power. At the helm of this grand endeavor was Ferdinand de Lesseps, the celebrated diplomat and engineer who had masterminded the Suez Canal. De Lesseps, riding high on his success with the Suez Canal, believed that a similar approach could be applied in Panama. His reputation inspired confidence and attracted investors from across Europe, all eager to share in the anticipated profits and prestige. However, he failed to grasp the unique challenges posed by the tropical environment and the scale of the engineering feat required. Unlike the flat, arid lands of Egypt, Panama was a land of dense, tangled jungle, steep hills, and unpredictable weather. The terrain was not only physically daunting but also teeming with dangers that no European engineer had ever faced before. The early years of the French project were plagued by mismanagement, logistical nightmares, and escalating costs. Supplies often failed to arrive on time, and the workforce was constantly stretched thin. Communication between Paris and Panama was slow, leading to confusion and costly mistakes. The grand vision of a sea-level canal soon collided with the harsh realities on the ground. Equipment proved inadequate for the dense jungle and unstable soil. Steam shovels and dredges designed for lighter work broke down or became hopelessly mired in the mud. Workers struggled to clear the land, often using little more than hand tools and sheer determination. The relentless heat and humidity sapped their strength, making every task a monumental challenge. The rainy season turned the construction site into a muddy quagmire, halting progress for months on end. Torrential downpours flooded excavations, washed away equipment, and created breeding grounds for disease-carrying insects. The canal zone became a landscape of chaos, where progress was measured in inches rather than miles. But the deadliest foe the French faced was not the terrain, but disease. The canal zone became a graveyard for thousands, as illness swept through the camps with terrifying speed. Medical knowledge at the time was limited, and doctors struggled to understand or control the outbreaks. Yellow fever and malaria spread by mosquito bites ravaged the workforce. The swamps and stagnant pools around the construction site were perfect breeding grounds for mosquitoes, and the connection between these insects and disease was not yet fully understood. Workers fell ill by the hundreds, many succumbing within days. Thousands of workers, many recruited from impoverished Caribbean islands, succumbed to these deadly diseases. These laborers, lured by the promise of steady wages, found themselves in a nightmare of suffering and loss. For every mile of canal dug, countless lives were lost, and the human cost mounted with each passing month. The death toll mounted, casting a pall over the project and turning public opinion against the French effort. Newspapers reported daily on the mounting casualties, and families back home mourned loved ones lost to the canal's deadly grip. The dream that had once inspired hope now seemed cursed. By the late 1880s, the French project was in disarray. The site was littered with abandoned machinery and half-finished excavations, a stark reminder of the limits of human ambition. Morale among the remaining workers plummeted, and many simply gave up and left. Bankrupt and facing mounting criticism at home, the French company overseeing the canal construction was forced into liquidation. Investors lost fortunes, and the French public was left disillusioned by the collapse of what had once seemed a sure triumph. The dream of a Panama Canal seemed to lay in ruins, a testament to the folly of human ambition in the face of nature's wrath. Yet, even in failure, the story of the French in Panama set the stage for future triumphs, as the world learned hard lessons about the power of nature, the importance of medical science, and the limits of technology in the face of overwhelming odds. As the 19th century drew to a close, the United States, newly ascendant on the world stage, turned its attention to the strategic importance of a canal across Central America. The dream of connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans had long captured the imagination of explorers, merchants, and politicians alike. For the U.S., a canal was not just a feat of engineering, but a symbol of progress, power, and the nation's growing ambitions beyond its own borders. The Isthmus of Panama, a narrow strip of land linking North and South America, became the focal point of this vision, a place where geography and destiny seemed to collide. President Theodore Roosevelt, a staunch advocate of American naval power, saw a Panama Canal as crucial to projecting U.S. influence and securing its economic interests. Roosevelt's energetic leadership and bold foreign policy, often called big stick diplomacy, made him determined to see the canal built at any cost. He believed that controlling a canal would allow the U.S. Navy to move swiftly between oceans, protect American shores, and ensure the nation's commercial dominance in the hemisphere. Roosevelt's vision was not just about ships and trade, it was about shaping the future of the United States as a global power. The failure of the French effort presented the United States with both an opportunity and a challenge. The French, led by Ferdinand de Lesseps, the builder of the Suez Canal, had been defeated by the harsh jungle environment, rampant disease, and overwhelming engineering obstacles. Their abandoned equipment and half-finished ditches stood as a stark warning of the dangers ahead. Yet for the Americans, the French collapse also meant that the path was open for a new attempt, one that could succeed where others had failed. The U.S. purchased the rights to the canal project and set about tackling the monumental task of completing the waterway. Negotiations with Colombia, and later with the newly independent Panama, were fraught with tension and controversy, but ultimately, the United States secured control of the canal zone. With legal and political hurdles cleared, American workers and engineers poured into Panama, determined to transform the landscape and fulfill Roosevelt's vision. Learning from the French mistakes, American engineers focused on sanitation and disease control as a top priority. They understood that no amount of machinery or manpower could succeed if workers continued to fall victim to deadly tropical diseases. The sweltering heat, dense jungle, and frequent rains created a breeding ground for mosquitoes, which carried yellow fever and malaria, diseases that had decimated the French workforce. Dr. William Gorgas, a U.S. Army physician, led a relentless campaign to eradicate mosquitoes and improve sanitation in the canal zone. Gorgas, drawing on recent discoveries about the transmission of disease, implemented a comprehensive public health strategy that was revolutionary for its time. He organized teams to identify and eliminate mosquito breeding sites, and he educated workers and local residents about the importance of hygiene and disease prevention. His efforts, which included draining swamps, fumigating buildings, and distributing mosquito nets, dramatically reduced the incidence of yellow fever and malaria. The transformation was remarkable. What had once been a death trap for laborers became a safer, healthier environment. Gorgas's work not only saved countless lives, but also made it possible for the canal construction to proceed at full speed, turning the tide in favor of the American project. With the disease threat contained, American engineers turned their attention to the formidable engineering challenges of the canal. The task ahead was daunting. They needed to carve a path through mountains, tame unpredictable rivers, and design a waterway that could accommodate the world's largest ships. The scale of the project was unprecedented, requiring innovation, coordination, and sheer determination from thousands of workers and specialists. They employed massive steam shovels, dredges, and other heavy machinery to excavate millions of cubic yards of earth and rock. Day and night, the sounds of engines and dynamite echoed across the isthmus as workers battled landslides, floods, and the relentless tropical weather. The construction site became a symbol of American ingenuity and perseverance, as each obstacle was met with new solutions and unyielding resolve. They constructed a system of locks, colossal concrete chambers that would raise and lower ships to different levels, overcoming the significant elevation changes across the isthmus. These locks, engineering marvels in their own right, allowed vessels to traverse the canal safely and efficiently. The completion of the Panama Canal would stand as a testament to human ambition and the ability to triumph over nature's greatest challenges, but it would also come at a great cost, measured in both lives lost and the enduring legacy of American intervention in the region. More than a century after its grand opening, the Panama Canal remains a vital artery for global trade, a shortcut that saves ships weeks at sea and billions in fuel. But today the canal faces a new wave of challenges. threatening its role as a linchpin of international commerce. Pause 1s. Climate change has brought unexpected dangers. Prolonged droughts, intensified by shifting weather patterns, have left water levels in the canal's reservoirs dangerously low. The mighty locks, once symbols of engineering triumph, now struggle to operate at full capacity. Some ships are forced to lighten their loads or wait days for passage, as canal authorities ration water to keep operations running. The very geography that once made Panama the perfect location for a canal, now exposes it to the whims of a changing climate. Pause 1s. Meanwhile, the global shipping industry is evolving. Larger, more efficient vessels, so-called mega ships, push the limits of the canal's expanded locks, demanding constant upgrades and greater investment. Competition is fierce, with new trade routes emerging in the Arctic and other canals vying for relevance. As global supply chains shift, the Panama Canal must adapt or risk being bypassed. Pause 1s. In recent years, the canal has even faced temporary closures, brought on by extreme weather, mechanical failures, or global disruptions like the COVID-19 pandemic. Each closure sends shockwaves through the world economy, highlighting just how dependent we remain on this century-old marvel. Pause 1s. The Panama Canal stands today at a crossroads. Its future depends not only on innovation and investment, but also on the ability of nations and industries to confront new realities, where climate, technology, and geopolitics intertwine. The story of the canal is far from over. As the world changes, so too must this enduring symbol of human ambition and resilience. Beyond its engineering marvels and economic might, the Panama Canal has always been a focal point of global power struggles. In the 21st century, those struggles are intensifying, as the world's superpowers vie for influence over this strategic crossroads. Pause 1s. For more than 85 years, the United States controlled the canal, shaping the region's politics and security. Even after the handover to Panama in 1999, American interests remain deeply entwined with the canal's fate. U.S. naval strategy, trade routes, and economic security all rely on the canal's smooth operation. Any disruption, whether from natural disaster or foreign interference, sends ripples through Washington's corridors of power. Pause 1s. But the U.S. is no longer the only player. In recent decades, China has emerged as a major force in Panama. Chinese companies have invested heavily in ports, logistics, and infrastructure surrounding the canal, seeking to secure trade routes and expand their global footprint. Some analysts warn of a new great game in the Americas, as Beijing's growing presence raises questions about influence, access, and control. Pause 1s. Meanwhile, Panama and its Latin American neighbors are asserting their own interests. For Panama, the canal is both a source of national pride and a vital economic engine. The government walks a careful line, balancing foreign investments with sovereignty and navigating the competing ambitions of global giants. Pause 1s. As climate change, technology, and shifting alliances reshape the world, the Panama Canal remains a symbol of strategic leverage. In this new era of geopolitical competition, the canal is more than a waterway. It's a stage where nations test their power and where the currents of history continue to flow. As the world looks ahead, the Panama Canal stands at a crossroads, challenged by the tides of change, yet brimming with possibility. Pause 1s. New technologies are poised to redefine what the canal can be. Automation, artificial intelligence, and advanced logistics could soon transform the passage, making it faster, safer, and more efficient than ever before. Imagine ships guided by satellite navigation and real-time data, gliding seamlessly through expanded locks, each vessel part of a global network that never sleeps. But progress brings new dilemmas. Pause 1s. The canal faces mounting environmental pressures, unpredictable rainfall, droughts linked to climate change, and the ever-present threat of rising sea levels. These forces could alter shipping patterns or even jeopardize the canal's operations. To survive, Panama is investing in sustainability, exploring water conservation, renewable energy, and eco-friendly shipping practices. The goal to keep the canal open, resilient, and green for generations to come. Meanwhile, the canal's role in global commerce is evolving. As Arctic routes open and megaships grow ever larger, the Panama Canal must adapt or risk being bypassed. Yet its strategic position, linking the Atlantic and Pacific, remains irreplaceable. The choices made today will shape not just Panama's future, but the very flow of world trade. The next chapter of the Panama Canal is unwritten. Will it lead the way into a smarter, greener, more connected era? Or will it be left behind by the relentless pace of change? One thing is certain, as long as ships sail and nations trade, The story of the canal will keep unfolding, at the heart of a rapidly transforming world.